Hello, and welcome to the Sofa Talk podcast. I'm your co host, Aster.
I'm your co-host Seven.
Let's talk it out and lounge it up. We appreciate you listening. This is episode 2, and the title of today's episode is Navigating Pride Month. This episode is about highlighting the challenges of Pride Month and celebrating the LGBTQ plus communities. Welcome back. That lounge hip hop beat is music by U underscore 98O9HLKN7R from Pixabay. Thank you for the music sample. So last year during Pride Month, we had created a poem and we posted on our social media channels, which is Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. In case you all missed it, I am going to read the poem to you right now in honor of Pride Month. In the month of June, we commend and celebrate you. Being you is who you are, not what you choose. Continue to live your truth. Don't be ashamed or hide what makes you. Be bold and live out loud. There's only one of you from Sofa Talk. So that's for all you people in that community. We commend you. So here's something interesting. I had a side conversation with my sister a few weeks ago in regards to Pride Month. And she wanted to know if the suicide rate for the gay individuals was lower now compared to when being gay was heavily stigmatized back in the days. And I was like, you know what? That's perfect. I'm going to look that information up for the podcast and share it. So let's find out if that's true. So according to the Trevor Project, there was a 2024 US national survey on the mental health of the LGBTQ plus young people. In the introduction, I'll read a few sentences from this. The Trevor Project's 2024 US national survey on the mental health of LGBTQ plus young people amplifies the experiences of more than 18,000 LGBTQ plus young people ages 13 to 24 across the United States. For the 6th year, the US National Survey uncovers the reality that there is a significant association between anti-LGBTQ plus victimization and disproportionately high rates of suicide risk, and that far too many young people struggle to access the mental health care they need. So pretty much the suicide rates remain high, especially with the youth. So some other information and key findings that they had was 39% of LGBTQ plus young people seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, including 46% of transgender and non-binary young people. LGBTQ plus youth of color reported higher rates than white peers. More than 1 in 10, 12% LGBTQ plus young people attempted suicide in the past year. There's more findings. 50% of LGBTQ plus young people who wanted mental health care in the past year were not able to get it. More than half, 54% of transgender and non-binary young people found their school to be gender affirming, and those who did reported lower rates of attempting suicide. 90% of LGBTQ plus young people said they were said their well-being was negatively impacted due to recent politics. 45% of transgender and non-binary young people reported that they or their family have considered moving to a different state because of LGBTQ plus related politics and laws. So that's information is very important. Then they also have two more things in addition. Nearly half, 49% of LGBTQ plus young people ages 13 to 17 experienced bullying in the past year. And those who did reported significantly higher rates attempting suicide in the past year than those who did not experience bullying. LGBTQ plus young people who reported living in very accepting communities attempted suicide at less than half the rate of those who reported living in very unaccepting communities. So that concludes that, and that's from the Trevor Project. If you want to access more information and more data, you can go to www.thetrevorproject.org/survey 2024. Something interesting to that, I had recently had watched a movie. It was a documentary called Deep Water, The Real Story by Amanda Blue that was released in 2016. So there was pretty much like segments of family and friends, loved ones, and coworkers who discussed the individuals that were either they were victims. We can call them victims, whether they were survivors or whether they are now deceased at the hands of being bashed. And this is like literally being bashed verbally and physically. This happened in Sydney, Australia. In around the 1970s, the 1980s, and the 1990s, there were multiple murders that were occurring based on gay males, their sexual preference or orientation. Very sad, very, very sad. Yeah, very, very sad. And you know what the funny thing about that is, everybody? They associated that with suicide. Their bodies were found as if they jumped off the cliff near the beachside. So they pretty much dismissed it as suicide, that they're killing themselves because they're gay. And look at it, it's still going on. My sister and I, we assume that nowadays, because the population is so open and they're so brave and bold and accepting of it, that it's still accepted now in our society. But look at the statistics I just read. It's still there's still a problem. And again, that movie was based, or documentary was based, in Sydney, Australia, and it's still going on. So
it definitely is. I saw on a movie, well, TV show, and it was like a LGBTQ plus couple, and the one was considered a transgender and the other one was just a male, and the male was falling for the transgender, and he was basically telling them, like, where can we go at? Where are we going to go out like that? They're somebody lost their life on the railroad track. They were tied to a railroad track, or another gay couple were lynched somewhere.
See?
And that was the early 2020s when I saw that clip in that TV show, and they were just saying, like, they wanted to be open and free, but where can we go? What can we do? Because these types of things are going to happen. So our relationship basically has to be in the dark, which is unfortunate and sad.
It's sad that they had to live that way, and how they tried. Even with the documentary that I'm discussing here, it's even sad because here's a story in that. So there was an eyewitness that witnessed the brutality of one of the gay individuals. I guess he was going to do like a casual encounter, like a hookup, in this one little place they have. So the eyewitness had the car parked to the left. He saw another car parked to the right. It was multiple people getting out of that. I want to say about 5 or 6 people getting out of that car, and they were getting wood planks or batons. Then they went up to where, I guess, where they know these casual hookups happen with the gay men. They found the guy. They came out. The guy was running, but they caught him. They started beating him viciously, just pounding him away.
Wow.
Yeah. So the eyewitness saw that and said, you know what? This is bad. He didn't get out the car, but what he did, he turned his high beams on, start the car, and drove. That didn't scare them. They were still viciously attacking this individual. So he turned around. He was very smart. What he did, he had wrote the license plate number, and then kept that information, and then he had called the police, because payphones back in the days were popular compared to mobile phones that we have now.
Mm-hmm.
So come to find out, this is crazy, y'all. That vehicle was an unmarked police vehicle.
Wow.
Those were policemen that did it. Again, they swept it under the rug. So, how are they supposed to feel protected and served when the people that are, doing that profession wasn't able to do that at the time, or participating in those, brutal events? So I was shocked. I said, what? But I'm glad they disclosed that. And then they also disclosed something else too. Because these were like, some of these people were too outside of those policemen that were unmarked or in plain clothes. There was also teenagers, y'all, young people, and they were so proud and just proud of what they did, and they didn't believe in that homosexuality and things like that. So there was one guy, I love when he mentioned this. He said he was a part of this, of the bashing and the teasing, whatever. But then come to find out, he disclosed that he was a homosexual. You see?
Yeah.
He disclosed he was a homosexual. He was participating in that. Maybe that was his way of feeling bad about who he was and wanted to fit in and be a follower. But, I was glad he was being transparent during that documentary. So we had those kind of instances where some of the people that were doing the bashing and the physical violent attacks were really homosexuals themselves. So I just wanted to share that. And if y'all got time, watch that documentary. It, I think I mentioned it before. It was released in 2016, and it's in Sydney, Australia. So.
And what is it called again? What's the documentary called again?
The documentary is called Deep Water: The Real Story by Amanda Blue. So I wanted to share that with you all. And again, it wasn't about suicide, like when the family said in the documentary. Why would our loved one kill himself? He had a lot going on for himself. We accepted his sexuality. I said, okay, speak it. We accept his sexuality. We got to commit suicide for.
Exactly.
He had so much to look forward to. What is he going to do killing himself?
And that's what helps a lot when your family and your friends know you and really know what's going on with you, because if situations like that happens, they can come to the surface and be like, hey, no, that's not them.
Exactly.
That's not who that person was.
That's not who he was.
That's not going to work.
That's not going to work.
Yeah.
So I respect that. I respect that. So so I wanted to share some personal stories. And these are based off of my two former coworkers. Y'all know I had a lot of jobs, so I'm hear a lot of stories. Listen to this, y'all. So I worked with this lady many years ago. She had disclosed to me that when her son came out, he came out, gay to her. She said when she heard the news, she cried. She cried. And she explained, you want to know why I cried? And I said, what happened? Why? There were 3 things that was going to be used against him. Based on who, y'all? Society. The 3 things she listed. Number 1, he's a male. Number 2, he's Black. And number 3, he's a gay man. So when she said that, I was like, wow, just listen. She's venting to me. Listen to what she said. I'm taking that in. And that was interesting for me to hear that. So she also mentioned this to me too. She said, when I disclosed it to my family, what was going on with my son, that he came out the closet, the family said this to her. You didn't know? You didn't know he was that way? We been knew he was that way since he was little. And she said, no, I didn't know. But the family wasn't surprised. So, it wasn't like a shocker, like we already knew it. So I'm sure they accepted it.
Well, made it more accepting for him.
Yes. Yeah. And maybe to calm her down, like it's not that serious.
Yeah.
We knew. We already knew.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay. Then here's another one. Then I had another coworker I worked with sort of recently. So this is what she told me. She told me that her son, he was in high school at the time, he had came out that he was gay to her. She said, you know what? I already knew. She said, I already knew,
Yeah.
Since he was a child, I already knew. She said, there were certain things I saw, signs. She didn't go into detail. She said, a mother knows. And she said, I already knew. So those were just, two different stories I wanted to share with you all based on, children coming out to their parents and how two mothers had different perceptions. But the first mother eventually accepted her son. Of course, she loves her son. She's very close to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that ended out beautifully.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, very beautifully.
Because the kids need their parents' support.
Exactly.
They need their support.
And it's hard, coming out. Hard. I heard it's hard. It is hard. It's hard.
I've heard stories.
Yes.
They go through a lot. So to have that support for the people that mean the most to you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's great.
And it should make it a little easier.
It should. It should.
Yep. And no more feeling like you have to be in hiding.
Exactly.
Like the poem or the message that we read. You're free.
You get to be free.
You're free. Exactly. You're free. So I wanted to share that with y'all. And then also too, y'all, this was many years ago. When Pride Month hit, back when I was in college, I think it was my senior year, my classmates and I decided to hit the city up and go out for Pride Month down at the lounge or club. We had a very, very good time. Very good time. So one of the classmates that initiated this, she was a lesbian and she had a wife at the time. I'm not sure if they're still together. She came with us too. And let me tell y'all here. So when I went to that lounge or club, I noticed when I went, no woman have never hit on me or tried to approach me there when I was there, which is surprising. Not that I was expecting that, to get that, but there was something that was kind of like a little shock for me, like a little, maybe culture shock a little bit, maybe I would say. The gay men there, it was them. It was them. They weren't on me, whatever, but we danced. And when I mean we danced, we did some dancing. So y'all know what freak dancing is. I'm not going to go in detail here. Y'all know what freak dancing is. That's what they were doing with me. And I was shocked. I was like, wait a minute. So that was my first kind of encounter type of thing. Like, what? I mean, y'all, if I'm being dramatic or, over the top, let me know, whatever. But,
surprised.
I was surprised. I had a good time. And I was like, I didn't know that they'd be dancing with women. I think that could be my bias. That I felt like, okay, they're not going to be, on me or dancing with me. I'm just going to have a good time. I'm going to dance with them. But when we were dancing, freak dancing, and I'm talking about all colors of the rainbow. We're talking about white men, black men, and Hispanic men. And they were cute too. They were cute. They were some cuties. So here's something funny. One of the black guys I was dancing with, we didn't dance like provocatively, or we didn't do any type of freak dancing, I don't think. I don't know. But I know we danced like, face to face, either our arms or whatever, hands are touching each other's shoulders or the hip area. So he asked me before we started dancing, he said, who you here with? Are you here with your man or your woman? Because the month we're in. I said, I'm here with my classmates. We're celebrating, having a good time. So that was fun. I have a big smile on my face now thinking about that. That's one of my memories I would never forget, because they know how to party. I don't care what nobody says. They know how to party. Okay. I'm giving y'all that. And I had fun with y'all. So, also too, let me say something else. This is also like another story to add on. So one of my other classmates that was there also, there was this guy that was interested in her. He was straight, but you know what he did, y'all? I respect him for this. He came with us to the Pride Month, being straight and all. So my nosy self, I had my ears open. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know, was I chilling, sitting, or was I dancing by myself? But I overheard him talking to one of the gay individuals. And I think they asked him his sexual orientation or something. And he was like, nah, man, I'm straight. I'm straight. So I was like, okay, shout out to him. And when he came there, he didn't come there with any type of attitude. He was having fun. He was drinking. He was dancing. And obviously he had a lady he was interested in. So I don't know, did he do that to please her? But I just have to shout him out on that, because that's something big.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I've been to the clubs. I got a couple of friends and cousins and all that stuff like that, and it was just a good time. It's not all about that.
Thank you.
And yeah, especially as a guy, you go in there, you're going to get questioned that. But like if
Yeah,
you're comfortable in your sexuality,
you know
whatever,
saying?
it doesn't
You
matter.
know,
Everybody's out to have a good
a
time,
good
dance,
time.
have a drink,
Thank
whatever.
you. Music.
Conversate and all that. That's what it's all about. And it's always been a good time. It's always been a good time. So
They
I
have
have no
fun.
objections to get that. It's always been a good time.
It's
the
fun.
times I've been out with the crews and been around the LGBTQ plus community, it's always been nothing but love and just good time. And when somebody would ask, like, are you gay or bisexual or things, like, you're like, no, and they're like, okay, and they left it alone and still had a good time. You remember the one time we went out, we met all those a whole group of people, and we traveled different bars and clubs that night, and we had a good time with them, and we didn't even know them. And still today, I want to say that might have been like 15 years ago, and they still keep in touch on social media and all that.
You see?
They see my family and kids and all that stuff like that. And yeah, so it's a good time, man. Just go have fun. Just live and enjoy yourself, man. It's like, and for me, it's like, it's exciting to see people feeling celebrated and just enjoying themselves, because a lot of the people in the LGBTQ plus community has been closeted.
There you go.
For so long. And so now they have these places or these areas or where they're just celebrated. So when you go in, it's like welcoming. It's not like, oh, you don't belong here because you're not part of the community. They're more happy that you're there, that you're celebrating them and enjoying them and being around people like them. And that's what it's all about. It's all about freedom and a good time.
A good time and having a good time. Also, too, they accept me. They don't say, "Oh, you're straight or heterosexual or hetero. You can't come." We're all having a good.
Everybody's having a good time.
You know what I'm saying?
They never call you up like you don't belong here.
Yeah, like how sometimes other people do that to them.
Exactly.
That's none of that. They're very accepting. Shout out to y'all.
Yep.
Shout out to y'all.
Yep.
Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. For real. There's no lies told there. And here's something I feel. And if I'm wrong, ladies, please let me know that are in this category. This is what I feel. This is my opinion, and I'm entitled to that. I feel that lesbian or gay women have it a little easy with being accepted as gay compared to the males. That's just my opinion. The reason why I say that is because I feel that men find lesbians attractive. They like to watch the action between the women going on. What else? I even have male friends that mentioned to me that they like that shit. They said they like it. They think it's sexy. And some of my male friends mentioned they had threesomes before with two women. You know what I'm saying? I even had some guys I dated in the past mention to me that they've done the threesomes with the two women before. So men are into that stuff.
I think it's only a problem when your girl gets snatched up from you. That's the only time we may complain. But other than that, I've never thought it was a big deal at all. I think the problem that guys may have with lesbian women might be maybe the more masculine women.
The ones they call the studs.
Yeah, those, and they may come off aggressive. And so it's kind of like, ho, step back. You still a lady or whatever. But, that's the only thing I can only really think of about, that ever really being an issue for male, is if a lesbian is being like, the stud, or just being more masculine or aggressive, and she's like talking to you like she's another man, so I think that's when guys may find it like, hold up, like, and like, they don't like, like those type of females. But man, live your life, live your life, be free, enjoy your life. It's short, turn up. I personally don't think, it's a big deal who you lay down with. It sucks that it's always kind of been this thing. I personally believe everybody should be able to live their truth. I feel like everybody should be able to be free. I don't care who you go to bed with. That's none of my business. That doesn't put food on my table or clothes on my back. So I could care less. This is America. And I just feel like everybody should just be able to live in their truth and enjoy their life while they're here. Tomorrow's not promised. Have a good time. Do what you got to do. And give zero fucks. Be
Mhm,
free. Live your
mhm,
life. Who gives?
mhm,
Who cares?
mhm.
Who cares?
Who cares? But people are caring who's in people's bedrooms or who they
And
holding hands
and
with
they
or out
spending
on
too much
dates with.
time on that.
They are caring.
Yeah, why does it matter?
Remember on Love and Hip Hop? Remember back in the days? I don't know, was it Atlanta? One of the Love and Hip Hops. They had so
When
many.
it used to be good.
But it was yes. But do you remember my man Milan, fine self? Milan had to pretend him and his
They were
lover,
co-workers or something like rappers together.
or whatever.
Producers, something like that. I remember
Yeah,
that.
but they were really lovers. They had to go to strip clubs and things like that and pretend.
Yeah.
I forgot the guy's name. Oh man, that was some years ago. But
Mhm.
Milan had to betray that he was straight, but that was really his lover, and then they were going to strip clubs together and hiding their
It was like they had a
their
facade.
relationship.
Yeah.
Yes, they put up a
Yeah.
facade because of
Mhm.
what people will perceive of them
Right.
or judge them.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember that. Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm glad they're highlighting that too in the show because it happens.
And it's crazy because I remember watching that season too, and their concern was them not being able. They had good music, but it wasn't going to sell because people knowing that they were gay or whatever, that nobody was going to buy the music. And now, if you look now, years later, now you see a lot of artists that are from the LGBTQ plus community, and they're selling records and they're doing amazing jobs and stuff. So it's just all about time. And you see, as time goes on, people get involved and progress in life and be more accepted and all that. So it's great. But back then, I do remember that, and I remember that being a conversation. Like, they had to keep that on the low because they weren't. I think one was a producer and the other one might have been a rapper. They both were in the music industry. But they had to play their cards a certain way because of them, because of their jobs that they had.
But then also to remember, Milan's lover also had a woman. See, I'm going back in time.
Yeah,
he had a woman.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I forgot her name. But so then that was drama too. So yeah, oh my gosh, y'all, this is going back in time. Yeah, but it's important. It kind of relates to this month that we're in. So yeah.
Yep.
I remember SeVen mentioned this to me too. He said that because we're talking about the threesomes. He said that the women are getting turned out by having threesomes with the other woman involved.
Yeah,
I remember. Yeah, SeVen. What you?
I mean, I've heard stories. I see, people posting their stuff, especially on TikTok. I mean, TikTok is like the diary. Like everybody's putting all their business out there. Right? They're talking about everything, and it is entertaining. It's entertaining. But I'm seeing a lot of these girls, man. They're getting turned out by their homegirls and all that other stuff like that. And they're saying, F the guys, they are, I guess, I can't speak from a woman's perspective. I'm not a woman, but I think what it is because women want to feel soft. They want to feel just, beautiful, and they want to be treated a certain way. And women know how they want to feel. Each woman has this, they have their thing, but it's all kind of the same. And I think that's how they tap into each other, that their femininity and just, feeling soft and beautiful and, and I think that's what really gets them also too. And then it's kind of like they might try it once or twice with a friend or something like that. And then they start liking it. And then you start hearing stories and it's like, and then and then what I also notice is it's becoming more common where it's a straight relationship, right? And remember before, just not saying like it was a big thing, but just hearing, people would say the guy would always ask for the threesome, and that's to bring another woman into the bedroom. But now you're starting to see it play out as the women are asking, well, can I bring a girl into the bedroom now? It's starting to become more of a thing, because I think with women, they know with threesomes and all that, they don't want it just to make it about the man. They want to get something out of it too.
Okay, you took it.
So that's why I kind of picked up on that. It's like, he's getting two, 2 for 1 or whatever. What about me? You know what I'm saying? Because we're both just pleasing him. So I feel like now with the women bringing, another person in, they're making it more about themselves too, because they're trying to get something out of that.
Get their rocks off.
They want to get their rocks off too. And I ain't mad at it. I'm not. I'm all for it.
I think you said something else too. I wrote this down because he said he had some good pointers. He told me. I know SeVen stated that he came across a video on social media where straight women are dating or getting with bi or gay men because there may be a shortage of men, right? That's what you came
Yeah,
across.
yeah. So I've seen a couple videos, and I've seen, well, a lot of videos recently, and it's a lot of women that are stating that, they have messed with gay guys
Mhm.
or bisexual guys, and they're fine with that. Some of them are bisexual women themselves, so they
Mm,
don't
that's what
mind.
I always feel.
And
I
then
feel
there's
that.
also some
Mhm.
that just kind of more into more of a freakier
Mhm,
type of
mhm,
situation.
mhm,
Each their own.
mhm,
I'm not mad at nobody.
mhm.
But I was thinking also to myself too, where I saw this one young lady, and she was mentioning that, you know, she accepted the guy that she was talking to because he was honest with her from the jump, and expressed to her that, yeah, he's been with men before,
Mhm.
but when whoever he's with at the time, that's who he's attracted to. So it wasn't
Mhm.
like, just because I say I'm bisexual doesn't mean that I'm in a relationship with you, so I'm still going to be, you know, hooking up with guys or whatever.
Mhm.
But he made it clear to her, like, I'm with you, I'm with you. And she was accepting of it.
Mm.
But then I saw
Most
another
women won't be.
video where women were saying, well, there's just a shortage on men.
Mhm.
And they're saying they're taking, the bisexual guys, the gay guys, because they're offering everything that they want
Oh,
from a
from a
man.
man.
And it's kind of like, okay, cool. But then it's also kind of sad also too, because I'm
Mhm.
like, I questioned that too. And remember, I said something to you about it. I was
Mhm.
like, are they lowering their standards? Or are they
Mhm.
just doing it just to keep a man? Or are they doing it
Mhm.
just because, hey, this is what I like, this what works for me? I can
Mhm.
care less what he does, as long as he's with me, he's with me.
Mhm.
Or I also seen where it's more of an open thing, where they have kind of an open type of relationship, where it's kind of like, we together, you
Mhm.
do something on the side, I might do something on the side.
Oh,
It's becoming more common now,
yeah.
and which I think is cool,
Hmm.
because I feel like people should be able to express themselves sexually much as
Mhm.
they want.
Mhm.
My thing is, be honest about it.
That's yes,
Tell the
yes.
truth in the
Yeah,
beginning, and
okay.
then you'll
We're
know
highlighting that
nobody won't
later.
get hurt. Nobody
Mhm.
won't get hurt, and you'll
Mhm.
know what you're getting yourself into, because we hear and see the stories all the time. Well, I
Mhm.
didn't know what I was dealing with. I didn't
Mhm.
see this coming. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and a lot of times people
Mhm.
may not say things because it's like they're enjoying the moment. It's good. This is real good, and it's always good in the beginning. We all know that's
Absolutely. That
always
that
good in the
honeymoon
beginning.
phase. Y'all
The
know
honeymoon
straight
phase,
relationships,
and then when
gay don't
when it
matter.
shit gets real, it's like, you this, you that, or you was
Mhm.
doing this, you were doing that, or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I personally feel like, that's where it's coming to, and women are kind of are being, and of course a
Mhm.
man's gonna be like, you mess with girls, okay, I'm not tripping.
Mhm.
But for
Oh yeah,
women,
yeah.
for the
They love
women,
that.
a lot of women are reserved in those areas. But like I said, once again, it's becoming more common where they're more accepting. They
That's
if the
interesting.
man is fulfilling them
Yeah, that's really
and
interesting.
giving them what they need, I
Mhm.
think they are looking past a man being bisexual
Mhm.
or having a gay history,
Uh-huh.
or and now it's focusing on the straight lifestyle, whatever. It seems like it's becoming more acceptable, because
Okay.
everybody wants love,
Yes.
and your person
Companionship.
is your person, and everybody got a pass, you know
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Mhm.
it's no different from somebody that has a criminal record or
Mhm.
did
Mhm.
something
Mhm.
bad. You're
Mhm.
still going to love them for who they are today, not who they were 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Okay.
This because we're not the same people we were yesterday.
Okay.
Every day is a new day. I always look at it like that. We change every day as
Yes.
people, as we grow older.
Yes.
So I personally feel like, if that's what works for them, then so be it. If they
Mhm.
happiness works for them, I don't think nobody should tear them down, look past them, or judge them. If they're both happy in their situation, that's nobody else's business. That's just what I personally think on that.
Preach on that. Preach on that. I also want to mention too, because a lot of times people like to say the gay men are, what is it, soft, feminine. They put all that stuff with them. But there was a guy I dated, and he was like, "Y'all don't be underestimating those gay men. They got hands. They could fight." they know how to throw down. So, you know, I just want to throw that out there too. So don't be underestimating them like they some soft punks, all that stuff. You
for
know,
sure.
you know what I'm saying? Y'all be saying that about them, but like he told me, they got them hands. They will they will mess you up. You know what I'm saying? They will mess you up. So just had to shout that out right quick right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
At the end of the day, you know, regardless of gay or straight or not, there's straight men that can't fight. There's straight men that are literally
not about that life,
that can't defend themselves. And so I don't think because of who you sleep with, you should be underestimated how much of a man you are, because
or
who
you can
sleep
fight
with, at the end of the day, you still a
man.
male.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Okay. Listen to this, y'all. And this is going back. So I watched Insecure by Issa Rae a couple years ago. This relates to this topic. So her best friend Molly was on a dating spree, I guess trying to find the next best man or boyfriend.
I remember that episode.
You remember the episode, right? I'm going to bring this up because ladies who are single right now, like myself, that might be thinking about dating now or in the future, or currently dating, this may pertain to us too. So Molly went on a date with the guy from the show, I should say. And the guy told her, he was honest and open, that he had a one-time sexual encounter with a man. When Molly heard that, Molly was no longer interested in him because of what he mentioned to her about what he had did in the past. So I'm just going to ask the ladies. I know we can't interact here, but has that happened to you before, ladies? You know, has that happened to you all? Have you all been in that situation that Molly was in? Because some of us may be, you know, on the dating spree or soon in the future. Is that something that we're going to be asking the men we go on a date with, especially if we're really feeling him? Has he been with another man before? I've heard other women say this. Personal, like, to not with Molly's situation on the TV show. Personally, too, I've heard stories like that too. So,
would you ask that question?
I'm not gonna lie. I might ask that question. Maybe the first, second date. You know, I might ask that question. But let's be real. Let me tell y'all. Look at how Molly dismissed that man in the show. When she was pretty much disgusted by that, and like, you know, she couldn't go on with that. It's hard, y'all. The days that we're living in, the times that we're living in, is hard.
So answer this question then. So would you just randomly ask just because that's the new norm now, or would you ask because he may have a certain trait that kind of stands out that makes you be like,
well, you know, I'm gonna get down to that later on the show, what I feel about men who take care of themselves, and you know, so I won't even say a man who takes care of himself or does certain things or participate in certain activities that might be quote unquote considered womanly, because I like when a man does that. I'm not gonna lie. With a metrosexual type of male, so we have some men about that are about themselves and about keeping up with themselves. So I can't judge based on characteristics or mannerisms or how he moves, how he speaks, or what he says, because you just don't know.
Right.
That's me stereotyping.
Yeah.
That's a good question, but maybe just ask just to ask. And I don't know, ladies, again, are y'all going through that? Are y'all feeling like, damn, there's no men out there? Damn, we got to worry about our men being on the quote unquote down low or having experiences with men in the past. So ladies, I don't know if y'all going through that. I can't talk to y'all right now. We can't interact, whatever. But, you know, these are questions I want to ask that I wanted to ask y'all. And then here's another thing I want to know too, is like, should that be asked on the first date or the second date? Are men obligated to tell a woman if they were with another man before, or even had thoughts? Because you can't say, have you been? You have any thoughts? You thinking about it? You know, so, but are the men, here's the question, are they going to be honest to tell the woman that? Like I mentioned a while ago.
Yeah.
They may feel like, no, I ain't gonna tell her that because she may not want me no more. You know?
Just took the words out of my mouth.
Okay.
And I was literally just sitting here thinking, like, you know, if the male goes on a date or, you know, meets up with a female, obviously there's some interest in the woman that he does have, because if he wanted to be with a man at that moment or go on a date with a man at that moment or sleep with a man, he could. So obviously there's some type of attraction, some type of feel that is attracting him to that woman to take her out or hook up with her or even sleep with her. Because if a man, just if a gay male or gay female, if they are strictly gay, they would honestly probably be grossed out sleeping with the opposite sex. They not gonna, I don't think they would really go into it unless it was a certain situation where they had no other choice. They had to do it. You know what I mean? So me just on the outside looking in, I would look at it as, well, obviously he has some type of attraction to a woman he's on a date with her. If he did have a past or is bisexual or may had a gay past, obviously I feel like he has, because what does he have to lose?
Okay.
By taking a woman out to get to know a woman. If he didn't want to be for a woman, why is he there?
But he might want his cake and eat it too. That other side, that taboo, that fantasy. I heard it's a good. Right. I heard it before.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I get that part, but that's what I'm just saying. So I don't personally think, automatically, and that kind of goes to the whole stereotype thing of, well, he might be too clean or too feminine, or he might talk a certain way or something like that, and then automatically you're thinking he's gay. And there's a high ass chance that this man has never been with another man before, had any type of gay encounters ever. That's just who he is. And you might have missed out on something good because of how he carries himself.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
And I think that's why a lot of people may not express past experience before, or what their current situation is, because they might see potential in the person. They don't want the person to leave them alone or run off, or
they might see a future,
or you know what I mean. They might see the future. They're looking for their person or whatever at that current time. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but that time, this is who you're feeling at that moment. So if I say the wrong thing, you might walk away.
Yeah, just like Molly. just like Molly did.
And that guy was confident. I saw that episode. He was confident. It wasn't a big deal to him. It wasn't a big deal to him. It wasn't his lifestyle. It was something that happened one time in college, and he was honest about it. Yeah. And she honestly, well, even though it's a TV show, she missed out on something good because it happens in real life. He was good. He probably would have been a good dude for her.
Yep, he could have been.
Yeah,
he could have been. And then that takes me back to when I had another coworker, many years ago, many years ago. He had asked me a hypothetical question. I like these kind of scenario questions. He said, Aster, say you met a man, you was kicking it, the vibes were good. He was everything that you needed and wanted. He pleased you in every which way. He was a good man, a good provider. Then you found out he was with a man before. He said, what did you do? He said, what would you do? And I was just speechless, y'all. I was like, I was being a little over dramatic. I'm a little animated. I was like, my hand was over my mouth, like, I don't know. And he was like, he hit me with that question. I was like, I don't know, because it's everything that you would want in a man,
And I think that kind of goes back to the whole situation. If he fits everything on your checklist and he just got that pass, that's why I said I think a lot of women are going for that, because they're like, F that's the pass. Like he's presenting everything that I need and want and desire right now from a man. I could care less. And that's why I think a lot of women are kind of jumping that bandwagon. I'm sure it'll play in her mind. It'll play in a man's mind also too. I'm a male. So if my girlfriend said that she's had encounters with females or something like that or whatever in the past or whatever, it might play on you every once in a while. You might see another female. She might look at her, or they greet each other, or she go out with her girlfriends. It might play like, I wonder what they doing. They got drunk or something like that. They went out. They might be, doing something or whatever. I think that crosses anybody's mind. We're human beings, but at the end of the day, you can't help who you attract. You can't help who you love. You just can't. And I feel like people are missing out on true love because they're getting caught up on stigmas and names and labels and all of that in people's passes. And the past doesn't count today anymore. You're moving forward. So I'm just speaking from a male standpoint, from my perspective. I can't speak for every male, because every male is not going to feel the way I feel, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But I personally just feel like hey, be honest. Whatever they rock with, they rock with. They
If they
don't. There's somebody out there for you.
Yep, I would say that there's
You know,
somebody out there for
because
everyone.
once again, I personally feel like if you don't share that part of yourself, who you are, or your past, or anything like that, you're holding back, and you're not able to. You're not being yourself. You're not being your authentic self. Because the thing is, you want to let the person that who you fall in love with, or getting to know who you are, where you come from, what you have experienced, and all that. Because once again, that makes who you are today and where you are at today.
Yes.
But some people are closed-minded, and some people are open-minded.
Okay. And some people might just be set in their ways, the old-fashioned way of thinking.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
it's your preferences, whatever you like, whatever works for you. But what I was saying was, it just seems like it's becoming more common and whatever. And hey, love is love, man. That's just where I'm at. You like who you like, you sleep who you sleep with. I'm sticking to that. I'm 10 toes down on that. I'm all about love. I'm all about good relationships. I'm about good sex, all of that. So if whatever works for you two individuals, man, woman, woman, man, whatever your labels are, I don't care.
Yes.
If it works for you, do your thing. Do your thing.
Do your thing. Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Let me say this too. This is important. I'm glad I'm bringing this up. So a lot of people are on dating apps now, whether you're on, looking for the same sex or things like that. This is important. And I just want to let people know, this is what I think. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. If I offend anybody, I'm sorry. But this is what I feel and what I think. I think it's important for people to let other people know their sexual orientation. On those sites. Also, too, this is for trans. Again, please don't shoot the messenger. This is my opinion. Please, when you're on those dating apps or even on the first date, I would say maybe on the phone, don't ever do a personal encounter or in person with the individual yet on a date. But on the dating apps or on the phone or any way you message, communicate through text, email, FaceTiming, whatever, social media, I think whether it be the trans women, the trans men, because some of the trans, I think they're called trans men.
Yeah.
They're
looking, women that became men.
Yeah, they're looking more like men now too. It's and the trans women are looking amazing. So it's hard, and you could be fooled. And I just want to say the reason why I'm saying this is just for safety reasons. Is all I am saying. That a lot of the crimes, the violence, is because the men didn't know and they feel they've been bamboozled or been played with in a way. That's just my thing. I just want y'all to be safe out there, and I don't want y'all to get hurt.
I had a cousin that is trans, and she would put on her dating right on top of her like her bio, like trans, trans, let it be known, because they see it. You know what I'm saying? So you see that right there in the bio with my name or who I am, or whatever that is. That's right there.
Yes.
And I think that's smart. I think that is smart.
It's smart, and you're playing it safe.
You're playing it safe, and it's smart.
You have, please. And it's also, you want to be honest to the person, because some people may be, like I said, you may not know. They may be willing to try that. They may be into that, or they might secretly be into that. And then just be open for rejection too. That doesn't mean you're a bad person.
No.
You're not a sick person. You're not attractive or appealing. So that might not be some people's cup of tea, but then you never know. It could be.
And remember this, guys. One thing my mom always told me, rejection is God's protection. So if that person rejects who you are, and this is just not for the LGBTQ family, this is for everybody. If a person doesn't reject you, that means if that person rejects you, that person wasn't for you. That's fine. That's fine. Play it safe. You don't want to waste their time. You don't want nobody wasting your time. You don't want to not disclose who you are to a person, and then y'all really start liking each other, and then you have to unleash who you really are, and then end everything y'all just built up and got to know each other and was vibing, getting to like each other, planning, making future plans of dating, getting, spend time together. Feel like lay that stuff out there. I know a lot of people are scared, because they don't want to be rejected. Nobody wants to be rejected.
Yeah, that's human nature in us.
If it's meant to be, it will be.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And if you're on those sites and you're just looking into like hookups and stuff like that, just hookups, not officially dating, but like more of a hookup type of site thing. Just be honest. Just be honest.
Please
because
be honest, y'all.
that will save so many lives.
Yep.
It would save so many lives
Yep.
because, not everyone is accepting. Not everyone got their head on straight. You know what I'm saying? So you have to play it safe. You have to be smart and you have to be safe. Protect yourself at all times, all causes.
All times, I believe in that. This will stop some of the criminal activities that are going amongst the community. Besides, y'all already being abashed and all that, just for being who you are. But just that alone will help some of that, alleviate some of that. And then I also want to say something else too. Please be careful with outing out the quote unquote straight men. That gets very violent as well.
Yeah.
Please, because I'm hearing stories. I've known people personally.
Me too. Woo,
it is bad, y'all. And that can hurt y'all as well. And you don't want that. Men do not want to be put out there, especially if they're in the closet with it or on the down low. Be careful outing these men. I that's all I have to say, because it can become.
I will elaborate on that. And what I will say, just from a male's perspective, be honest and let the person know what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? You don't go on a dating site or a hookup site and then
thinking that's your.
And then a person's basically telling you like, oh, I may not never done this before, or I'm not out or anything like that. Because what that's going to do is when you go expose that person, that's not going to make them come out, and that's not going to make them be with you. You know what I'm saying?
And they might hurt you. They might try to hurt you.
They can hurt. They might try to turn and hurt you, your loved ones, or even hurt themselves.
That too. I forgot about the love.
Yep.
That's true.
There's innocent people that can lose their life over a simple conversation.
Yes.
So
that's true.
I would just say, hey, if a person just say, hey, I just want to do the night thing or whatever, and we just hook up and that's that. If you know that, if that what works for you, then you go ahead and do that. But if you know you are a person that is looking for a relationship, wanting to be with somebody every day, and they're not comfortable with that lifestyle, then you shouldn't even waste your time.
Thank you.
Entertaining that.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure a lot of those guys are going to be honest and sit there and say, hey, this is not who I am. I don't live my everyday life like this. This is just something that I do. It's a pleasure thing, and I do certain things at a certain time or whatever, but I don't live my everyday life like this. That. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't honest. And then with sex involved, when sex is good, it starts to get to your head. A lot of people will say, oh, no, sex is just sex. But seriously, when you have good sex with somebody and you two are, what's it called? Y'all are...
like connecting the chemistry,
and there's chemistry and all that, it changed the whole dynamic of the sex. It takes you to a whole nother level. And then that's when feelings get involved. That's when love gets involved. So I say that to say this. That's why I say what you want in the beginning. What you're looking for, lay all your cards out there, so you won't get your time wasted. You won't get your feelings hurt.
That's right.
And then you'll be able to move on and say, hey, this wasn't going to work. Just simple as that.
I agree.
I feel like people move like that. So many people would still be here. So many people wouldn't be hurt. There wouldn't be all this confusion and craziness if people just say what they mean and mean what they say, speak up, and that's that. That's it.
All right, that part. So there's this new thing now where gay men are feeling like their female friends are being mean to them, or they feel like they're accessories, like little purses on their shoulders or whatever, their arms or whatever. And I think trans are feeling that way too. Trans women, I think they're feeling that way too. And let me see what I have to say about that. Like they feel like, oh, this is my gay friend or my trans friend, like that kind of thing, like this, that kind of thing. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard it could be because of jealousy, that straight women are feeling jealous because the gay men or the trans are getting attention and they're not. But I don't know how I feel about that, because and they're also picking up good looking men too. But see, I've hung out with gays and trans, and I never once had to feel jealous. I'm keeping it real. I don't know if the other ladies too. I never once had to feel jealous of them if they were to pull guys or what have you, because I knew who I'm hanging out with, and that's what to be expected. We're looking at the same thing pretty much. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm also very confident in the woman I am, and I feel good about myself that I wouldn't have to be jealous or have to knock them down or tear them down or expose them or like feel like, why them and why not me? Never had to feel that way. I'm
Yeah.
confident in myself as a woman.
Yeah, you always been that way.
Why would I have to do that or out them or
Yeah.
share their secret or
Yeah, you don't do
whatever?
that. You don't do
You
that.
don't do that. Um, and then there's also, I came across a video clip. It was small. It was on a social media feed. I think it might have been TikTok. I think I came across it, and it was saying how straight men prefer to hang out with gay men now and have them as friends.
It's funny you say that. I mean to cut you off, Aster. And something I had seen before was that because when the straight homies got the gay homies or whatever, that gives them more access to the girls also too.
Wow, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not saying that all the friendships like that, because like I said, I have gay friends too. So I got my gay homies, whatever. Me and my cousin, we used to be close, and she's trans, and we all, you know what I mean? So I've been around it. I've seen it and I heard it all. But I will say that that's another thing too, is like, oh, he know all the girls, he hang around all the girls. So that gives them more access to the females. And then not saying that their friendship's not genuine, but it does help. It's like, oh, he know all the girls. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. But I think that kind of goes on both ends when you say, maybe the gay guys might be accessories to the female friends or something like that.
They're feeling that way.
But then I've seen stories in her stories of where guys have grew up as best friends since little kids, played for sports, went to school together, everything, and one comes out.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we brothers, we grew up together. I don't care. You know what I mean? And those friendships work and everybody's together, everybody's happy. And, and it seems like now it's becoming, because in the past, it was like, well, I can't fuck with you like that no more, homie.
Because they're going to think I'm that way.
They're going to think I'm this way. But now, because once again, the times have changed, it's like everybody can be at the same table and be celebrated and be happy in their truth. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was going to ask you this, because tell me what you think about this. Because I think I heard this before, that they're afraid if they were to hang out with a gay guy or have a gay friend, they're afraid that the friend might, I guess, try to turn them out or come onto them. Is that true? Like, is that like?
I never experienced that.
Yeah, so it's like,
because if they your friend or they your brother, or let's say y'all grew up like brothers or whatever, or
like
y'all best friends, they know what you like or whatever. They're not going to cross the line unless you probably gave them that indication that maybe I would try it, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I really can't say that.
Because are you not comfortable, or are you vulnerable? Like, could he really get you? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to question that too.
Yeah.
If you feel that way, do you think that you might be interested or stepping outside that box? Is that your thing that you may have, but you don't want to admit? Hello.
You never know until you know.
Exactly. And I'm gonna say this too, because I'm getting tired of this. Let's stop stereotyping what a straight man looks or acts like.
Yeah.
We mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
We mentioned that earlier. Let's stop doing it, because I think that it's wrong and it's rude.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even lie. Probably my whole life, I've been called names. Oh, he's gay, or he's this, he's that, and da 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 da. And you know what? I laughed at that shit all my life, because I knew exactly who I was. I grew up around women my whole life. I had nothing but female friends, which I will say, as I got older, it attracted more male friends also too, because once again, it was like, he hang around all the girls. But see, they also, they might have thought something, maybe because how I talk, or because I'm always around the girl, because that's like one of my insecurities. My voice is not as masculine and deep or whatever.
Yeah. That's fine.
And my girl, she's like, I love your voice. I love the way you talk. And you also did. And I said, that was one of my insecurities, but I was never insecure about my sexuality.
Mhm,
Nothing like
mhm,
that.
mhm,
I knew who I was. I was confident in my sexuality.
mhm.
And some
Like
of the girls that I was hanging out with, I was trying to get with. You know
you.
what I mean? So it was like it is what it is, and
Yes.
people going to have their perceptions. But if you know who you are, you don't let that shit kill you, man. You don't let that shit bother you.
Mhm.
Only time it's going to bother you when it's true.
Yes,
And
yes, yes,
I
yes.
moved with
See?
grace, but then, like I said, as I gotten older, I did attract more homies and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
definitely, got closer with the fellas. But because I had a lot of female cousins growing
Mhm.
up, a lot of female friends
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
neighborhood, that's just
Mhm.
all I grew up around.
Mhm.
And you
Mhm.
will get that. And then, like I said, I had gay cousins, I had
Mhm.
gay
Mhm.
friends
Mhm.
and shit like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
I didn't give a fuck. I don't care, and I
Mhm.
still don't care.
That's what I'm talking
I'm
about.
37 years old. I don't care and will never care. My friends, my family, they're mine. What they do in their bedroom, that's their business. That doesn't defend who I mean. That doesn't
Define.
define who I am as a man. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
And so, people gotta stop that. I'm a man that likes nice things. I like cleansiness. I like to
Mhm.
keep myself
Mhm.
up. You
Mhm.
know,
I love that.
manicure, pedicure every once in a while. Not nothing like every weekend, but I like to keep myself well. I feel
Well
like
groomed.
well groomed. I feel like women appreciate that.
They do.
They
I
attract
love
that,
it.
and then you do have some women that might just be narrow-minded or biased or whatever you want to call
Yes.
it, and think,
Yes.
oh, that's feminine or he's
Thank you.
soft and this and that. And that's not the case. That's really not the case. Some men just like to keep themselves up and be
Mhm.
clean and be fresh and always look good. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's
I'm
not.
I'm a man that's all about that. I'm going to keep myself up. I'm always going to feel good, look good.
Mhm.
I don't care what's going on. And I don't care what anybody thinks about it.
That's right. I know that's right. That's right. Because I'm gonna go off of what he just said because the coworker I mentioned earlier in the episode, the first lady, we worked again together a few years later. So we worked with this guy, another one of our coworkers. So what she did, she I would say she probably stereotyped him and thought that he was gay because the way he had acted or
Mm-hmm.
talked.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, I'm straight. And she was like, oh, because I was gonna try to get you with my son, so she, was open to her son.
Oh,
But so
wow.
she, so I wonder how did he feel when she said that to him, you know, I got a son for you, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, no, I'm straight. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know how to, did that
Yeah.
make him probably feel some kind of
It
way?
might have made him
You
feel some type of
know?
way, but then, like I said, if he know who he is, he probably laughed that shit right off. Like, really? Okay,
Yeah.
like because he might got a whole bunch of women lined up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So he
Yes.
probably looking at it like, oh, well, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Some people may take it hard, some people don't.
Okay. I was
No.
like, oh shoot. I was like,
Hmm.
because like I said, y'all, I be ear hustling. I be listening. My ears be
I will
out.
I will say this though. I think as a child, it does affect you a little bit
Mhm.
because it does cause like bullying and stuff, and
Yes.
people don't think kids listen and hear stuff, and especially when you hear adults say stuff like that, you're like,
Mhm.
whoa, like
Mhm.
that's not who I am.
Mhm.
But as you get older and you're fully aware of who you are and who you
Mhm.
are and all of that in life, that shit don't phase you. You can laugh that shit off.
Mhm.
You laugh that shit off.
Because you're like you said, you become comfortable in your skin. You know who you
You
are.
know who you are
There
once
you
you know who
go.
you are. If
There
you
you
have a
go.
question mark of who you are, then it's going to bother you. Or
Mhm.
when you're a child,
Mhm.
because it's like if you speak up, you might get hit. Especially if you say
Yes.
it to an adult, like no,
Yes.
or defend yourself, you might get in trouble. Or if you defend yourself around a certain crowd, you might can get into a fight or get
Mhm.
bullied or something like that. So it's kind of like you gotta walk with your head down and not say nothing, and just kind of take it. But once you in a place of your own and
Mhm.
knowing yourself, that shit don't phase you not one bit.
Yes.
Not one bit.
Yes.
Nope,
Yes.
not even.
Yes.
Nah.
I love it. I love it. Um, I just want to just reiterate to y'all, please stay safe out there. Practice safe sex, use PrEP, and get tested regularly. I don't care, hetero, bi, trans, gay. Just just know your status and be safe out there. It's a cruel world that we're living in, and just know your status. I'm gonna give an example. This was years ago when I went to the health department. I was a young lady, and they were asking me like a set of questionnaires. So the lady had asked, do you know if your partner was ever with a man before? Then I laughed and said, no. Now I'm thinking to myself, why is she asking me these kind of questions? But then I come to find out years later what's been going on with closeted in the DL and things like that. I'm not here to bash that or anything, because most men don't feel comfortable coming out and they have to live that kind of lifestyle, and I understand. But I do see why that was asked, and it's important. So I'm just gonna say stay safe. I also want to shout out the LGBTQ plus community for always rallying and sticking up for one another. Y'all have each other's back. Like, I don't know what. Y'all don't be playing. When they mess with one, they mess with all. And I have to give y'all that.
Yeah.
Compared to other people, other groups, y'all be having each other's back. Nobody can deny that. I love to see it.
And I mean, honestly, y'all are some of the strongest people I've ever met, because the odds have always kind of been against y'all. You know what I mean? So it's not even y'all just rally up for y'all. Y'all rally for everybody. I feel like the people of the LGBTQ plus community, they rally for everybody, man. Just not their people. They support everybody because they want the same equalness.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So they're some of the strongest people. I admire their strength. I love their company. I wish them all well. I have a good time with them. I want them all to be safe and live their best life and be free, be accepted and loved, and just being in their truth.
And I being the truth. I want to also mention to add on to what he said. This is for the gay men out there, because I think a lot of times y'all don't get recognized or put up there on a higher pedestal than y'all should. I'm gonna give y'all some shout outs. Y'all are good and talented. Number one, y'all know how to do the hair and the makeup. Why you think people go to y'all to get those services? Even celebrities, they be getting services from y'all because y'all got it going on with that. The dance routines. Not saying all men who can dance good are gay, but the ones usually, the gay ones are usually good with the dance routines. The fashion is good. Y'all are always top notch, always creating good designer type stuff or good looks for us. Thank you for that. And y'all be also setting trends in terminology, because guess what? We be copying y'all. As women be copying, and other races are copying y'all. So y'all are the trendsetters on things with y'all words and everything. Here's some side notes I wanted to add before we start wrapping up. One thing I'm tired of hearing men say: no homo. I'm getting sick of that.
Yeah.
Do you have to always put that in there?
Or what's the other one? No Diddy. They got the Diddy thing going on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm in the Stone Age.
Pause is another one.
Oh, please.
Yeah, pause.
Like, please. Like, when y'all say that, do y'all feel like I'm a man? Or I ain't a gay man if I say no homo. I want to say something too, because I used to watch Howard Stern back in the days, back in the 90s and early 2000s. And when I watched him on his show, he had complimented another man and called another man handsome before on the show. But when he said that, I didn't say, ew.
Yeah.
Ew. Why did Howard Stern say that? Ew. Is he gay? Actually, I thought that was brave of him to do that. I didn't think there's anything wrong with it.
Now. You'll hear the guys. I would say, "Oh, bro, you look good. Whatever. You smell good, bro. You look good, or whatever. You cleaned up nice." There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, man. You gotta be secure.
You gotta be secure in who you are. And if another man is handsome, if you're another man saying that, that doesn't mean you're gay. So stop this whole notion with this whole labeling or whatever. Just that has to stop.
Yeah.
And another thing, this is the last thing I'm gonna say about this. I'm also getting tired of heterosexual men needing to point out the gay men. Please stop doing that. What do you have to prove by doing that?
Yeah.
Stop pointing out these gay men, or making fun of it or whatever.
Yeah.
Keep it moving. So what? What is that doing to you?
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. We're about to wrap up now. We're gonna keep you any much longer.
Yeah. So I wanted to thank everybody for tuning in today and listening to us, getting with us, and you can check out our social medias, guys. We got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. That is Sofa Talk. That's spelled SOFA. TAWK. And then we also have our own website now, and that's sofatalk.com. Feel free to leave us a message, any concerns, anything that you guys want to talk about in the future, what you like, what you may not didn't like. We do also have the Dear Sofa Talk letter, and that's at gmail.com. And you guys can put your inputs and whatever topics you may want to talk about or
that
whatever
you
you
need
may be
advice
going
on.
through, advice or anything like
We'll
that.
help you through that.
Feel free. But we thank all of you guys for tuning in and catching up with us.
Yes. Thank you again. Feel free to listen to our next episode, Men's Health Matters, available now. Please subscribe, like, follow, share, comment, or leave a review wherever you're listening. Remember, the talk will have you talking on the sofa. Goodbye. Until next time.